Hi, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Hopefully you guys had a wonderful Easter if you celebrate over the weekend or you have an upcoming wonderful weekend with your family celebration. It's been a while since I've seen you, so I miss you guys so much. Did I plan to be matching with the background of my slide and my shirt? No, I did not. And I'm just realizing that now, so that's really embarrassing. So, oh, yikes. All right, let's get going. Okay, so your lesson for today, we're talking about similar and congruent figures. Now, this has more of a geometry base, so this is going to be really important for you, especially thinking about next year and the year after. So, when we're talking about similar and congruent figures today, please know that this vocabulary and these concepts are going to be carried with you as the years go on. So, your objectives for today: number one, you want to identify the difference between congruence and similarity. Number two, you want to be able to identify figures that are similar. And then number three, you want to be able to identify figures that are congruent. So, let's kind of start with an introduction. These are two congruent figures. I'm sure that you're shocked that this is what I chose as your introduction, but welcome to Mrs. LeBand's life. So notice that the two jars of peanut butter are the exact same, so the same shape, and they are the exact same size. Let's look at another example so you can kind of understand what congruent figures are. Okay, here we go. Again, shocking image that I chose to use. Notice that the two pictures of Drake are the same shape. They're the exact same, while there were millions that I could choose from, and they're the exact same size. So when we're thinking congruent, okay, congruent means same shape, same size. Here's a math example because we can't just look at pictures of peanut butter and Drake. These two rectangles, yes, they obviously do look like they're the same size and shape, but we can also prove it with the side lengths that are given to us. So notice that you've got 2 inches here, 2 inches here, and over here we've got 4 inches and then 4 inches. So not only do they look like they're congruent, but we can prove it mathematically. Now, these are figures that are similar. Okay, so when they're similar, notice that it's the same jar of peanut butter, it's the same shape, but what's different about it? And hopefully in your head, you're thinking that they're different sizes. Let's look again. So these are similar figures because they're the same shape. It's the same picture of Drake, but their sizes are different. Okay, so when we think about similar, we want to think about things that have the same shape but different size. Congruent is like the exact same. Congruent, same shape, same size. Similar means their shape is the same. Look at the triangles down here, but their size is different. This would be a good slide to take a picture of so that you have it, especially for your assignment. Now, if we want to prove that two figures are similar, meaning that they're the same shape, just different sizes, we can either look at their angles to show that their corresponding angles are congruent, or we can look at their side lengths to see if they're proportional. Right now, that probably doesn't mean too much to you, but we're going to walk through a few examples to kind of help you understand. All right, so here we go. Here's method number one if we're looking at angles. So for method number one, here's your first example. Now we see that these two shapes here are the same shape. They're both triangles, so we've got that checked off. Now, yes, they're different sizes, but we need to make sure that they're proportionate for us to make sure that they're similar. So notice A and E are the same. They have congruent angles because they're the same color, same marking. Angle B and G, those are both congruent, same color, same marking. And then C and F are congruent, same color, same marking. Because those two figures have congruent and corresponding angles all together, that would make them similar. Let's look at another example to prove that. So now we're asking, all right, is LMN similar to STU? So are they truly similar? Notice that our top angle is 40 degrees and 40 degrees. Bottom left, 60 degrees, 60 degrees. N is 80 degrees and 80 degrees. Because their corresponding angles are congruent, again, we've proven that they're similar. However, if you were to see like the top angle, like this was 100 and this was 20, that would not work. They wouldn't be similar. Okay, here's method number two, side lengths. You'll probably see this method used more often than with angles. If I'm looking at the side lengths, we can see that if we multiply by the same number, if they're truly similar. So let's start with our 5 here. I know that 5 times 2 gets me to 10. And I know that 10 times 2 gets me to 20. and I know that 12 times 2 gets me to 24. Because we're multiplying every side length by the same scale factor and it's all consistent, they would be similar. If we're looking at this one though, if we're looking at the rectangles, I know that 5 times 2 gets me to 10, but does 12 times 2 get me to 20? And the answer is no. So because those two don't work, they're not equal, the figures are not similar. Okay, so let me explain that one more time. Because 5 times 2 does get me to 10, but 12 times 2 isn't 20, it's really 24, those two figures aren't similar. Their side lengths are not in proportion, so those two wouldn't work. Okay, 2 more and then we are all done. All right, now let's say that we know that the figures are similar because I'm telling you that they are. Can you solve for missing side lengths? So let's take a look here. We are solving for side length DF, and if you're thinking like right triangles, we're solving for our missing hypotenuse, but we don't have to do that much work for this one. First thing you want to do is say, all right, what do I need to multiply by to find that missing side length? So I know 10 times 2 gets me to 20, 5 times 2 gets me to 10, so I know that I'm going to have to multiply AC by 2 to get my larger side length here. So ask yourself, what is 15 times 2? And hopefully you tell me 30, and that would be your missing side length. Let's try that one more time. Given that these figures are similar, okay, I'm telling you they're similar, can you solve for the missing side length? So to get from 6 to 3, I know that I actually am dividing by 2. So that's what I need to do. So then ask yourself, what is 10 divided by 2? And then this should get you 5 right here. So let's quickly recap. When we are talking about similar and congruent, congruent means same size, same shape. So these are congruent. These are congruent. Okay, these are congruent. Same size, same shape. When we're thinking about similar though, we have the same shape, but the size is different. Okay, and that's what we're looking at. We can prove that figures are similar by looking at their angles to make sure that all their angles are congruent, that are corresponding, and we can look at the side lengths. So if I'm looking at these two triangles here, I know 10 times 2 gets me to 20, 6 times 2 gets me to 12. So that's how you could use your side lengths. Corresponding angles, notice that your top angles have the 2 markings, so they're congruent. Bottom angles have the 1 marking, bottom right have the 3 markings, so those are congruent. So those are the different ways to prove that a figure is similar. Now, for solving for missing side lengths, like we did right here, you just need to ask yourself, like, what am I multiplying to get from my first figure to my second? And then use that strategy to find your missing side length here. Okay, so your Wednesday homework assignment, and I'm going to show it to you in just a second. It's a Google form. Now, we haven't done this online separately before. We did it in the beginning of the year when we were all together, but I'm going to show it to you so that you know what's going on. Also, problem solving number 5 is due by 11:59 tomorrow night, so take a look. When you go to your e-learning folder, you're going to click on the link that says Congruence and Similar Figures Assignment for Google Forms. When you do that, it's going to make a copy for you. So it is so important that you type your first and last name so that I can give you credit for doing it. If you don't do your first and last name, you're not going to get credit for doing it. There are many of you that have the same first name as other human beings on the team. Please use your last name. And then you'll just have a few questions about congruence, and then you'll also have a few about similarity and similar figures. What I just want to make sure that you know, look right here at this symbol. That means similar. So it's asking if this figure is similar to this figure here. Okay? Other than that, you guys have a wonderful day. If you have questions, please message me. Miss you all so much. Tomorrow's your last day of e-learning for the week, so enjoy, work hard. See you later.